One thing I'm learning about living out of my van is that my normal routines don't completely disappear. They just get a little harder to maintain. I'm spending a lot of time driving, hiking, filming, and constantly moving from one place to the next. So keeping any kind of normal schedule out here is definitely a challenge. But today, before I do anything else, I'm getting a workout in. When I'm home, going to the gym is such a normal part of my routine that I don't really think about it. Out here, it takes much more effort. I have to find a gym, figure out where I can park the van, bring everything I need with me, and somehow convince myself to actually go when there are so many things that I'd rather be doing. But I know I feel so much better when I do. I'm not trying to have the perfect workout while I'm traveling. Right now, I'm really just trying to stay consistent, get some movement in, and keep my body feeling good for everything I want to do on this trip. I'm also keeping up with my physical therapy exercises. They're not exactly the most exciting part of my day, but there's something I need to stay consistent with, especially when I'm hiking and being this active. And I think that's something I'm figuring out with van life. It's really easy to treat every day like I'm on vacation because I'm constantly somewhere new, but at the same time, this is just my everyday life right now. I still have work to do. I still have to get water. I still have to get groceries, do laundry, clean the van, shower, and take care of all the little normal things that don't stop just because I'm traveling. So that's what this morning is about. I'm getting my workout in, filling up my water, and doing my PT exercises, and taking care of everything I need to do before I get back on the road. And once all of that's done, I'm ready to see where today takes me. Here I'm getting started with a couple of shoulder warm-up movements. We're just doing some lateral raises and some pulls, and now I'm getting some water from the water fountain, and this is honestly a godsend. This is something that I used to take for granted when I lived in, sticks and bricks, but now that I live in a van, water is an ever precious resource. Well, it's always precious, but it's even more precious to me now living in a van. Now we're doing dumbbell lateral raises. These are amazing for those delts that I really need, those side delts. And now I'm doing lat pull downs. Got to get that demon bag. I need to look like I belong in a weightlifting anime or something like that. I'm trying to keep it simple, no more than 4 movements for these little workouts when I'm on the road. I really just am hoping to maintain what I already have. I'm not expecting to gain muscle or anything like that. I'm just trying to eat clean, eat high protein, get a workout in when it makes sense and when it works. And otherwise, I am 100% focused on seeing the national parks, seeing what nature has to offer. Triceps are definitely not the most important muscle. However, it is a weak point for me, so I'm including them. Okay, so we did a work call this morning. We did our workout, and now we got to go to Lake Louise. I need some caffeine. It's only 3 p.m. and wow, I'm exhausted. I could go to sleep right now. I was sleeping really well this morning. I probably could have kept sleeping, but I had to get up for a call. Being here at Lake Louise is really special to me for reasons other than just how beautiful it is. I have Nakota ancestry, and I'm a relative of the Stoney Nakota people who have a relationship with this land that goes back generations before Banff becomes a national park or this place becomes known to the outside world as Lake Louise. And when I'm here, I think about how differently a place like this can be understood when you look at it through an Indigenous perspective. The mountains, the water, the plants, and the animals aren't simply scenery. There's a relationship between people and the natural world. And that with that relationship comes respect, gratitude, and responsibility for the land. I think that's something that's really easy to lose when we visit places like this today. I can drive here, take pictures of the lake, post them online, and move on to the next beautiful destination. But people are traveling through these mountains, living from this land, and forming relationships with these places for generations before tourism ever exists here. And there's something really powerful to me about standing here, knowing that I'm related to those same people that were looking at the mountains and the waters generations ago. I'm experiencing this place in a completely different world, but the landscape is still connecting us. So I'm trying not to experience Lake Louise as something that's simply beautiful to look at. I want to slow down, be present, and have gratitude that I get to be here. For me, there's something deeply spiritual about that connection, knowing that I'm standing within a landscape that holds generations of Indigenous history, relationships, and memories. Lake Louise, definitely a very spiritually powerful place. We have the turquoise colored lake with the two mountains with trees and greenery on them. And in the background, we have the third mountain rising up with the rocks and the snow. It's a lot of beings, meeting in a very unique way. It's about to be night, and I just found the most perfect wild camping spot. It's right next to the river. There's forest spots, there's beach spots, and there's a fire pit. This might be one of my favorite campsites I've found so far. One of my favorite things about traveling in the van is finding places like this. There's no campground, no hookups, no reservations. I literally just show up and squat. I can find the most gorgeous spot right along the river, and this is home for the night. And seriously, look at this. I have mountains in the background. The river is literally right outside my door, and I get to wake up to this view in the morning. This is exactly why I love dispersed camping. I have everything I need with me in the van. So when I find something this beautiful, I can just stop and stay. There's something so peaceful about being out here, especially once the sun starts going down and everything gets quiet. I know van life definitely has less glamorous moments, but then I find a campsite like this and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is why I'm doing this. And in the morning, I'm having some coffee right outside my door. So today, I don't have too much planned, but I do want to go see Moraine Lake, and I also want to go into Yoho National Park. And the intention for today is just to connect with nature, form a relationship with nature, acknowledge the water, the rocks, the plants, and the animals. This is Moraine Lake in the Valley of the 10 Peaks. And I think this is one of the most incredible landscapes I've ever seen. I like the 4 peaks in the distance. It is beautiful in a way that is similar to Lake Louise, yet distinctive. I wonder if in the past my ancestors thought that the 4 peaks made this lake appealing. Being here also has me thinking about my Nakota ancestry and the spiritual relationship Indigenous people have with the natural world. From an Indigenous perspective, the land isn't simply scenery. The mountains, the water, the plants, the animals, and the people are interconnected. We aren't separate from nature, we are part of it, and that relationship comes with the responsibility to respect and care for the land. The Stoney Nakota have a connection with these Rocky Mountains that goes back generations. These lands are places of travel, gathering, and ceremony, and that relationship exists long before this area becomes Banff National Park. I'm still learning about this part of my ancestry, and being in these mountains makes me want to understand it more. I wanted to come here to see where they were living, to see the mountains and the lakes that they saw. Next, I'm heading into Yoho National Park to see Takakkaw Falls. If you don't already know, I am obsessed with waterfalls. And there's even a rainbow spirit here to bless our journey. And this is one of those places where you can hear when you're getting close to it before you even see it. As I get closer, the sound of the waterfall gets louder, and then this massive waterfall appears coming down the side of the mountain. It also gets cold when you get close. The wind blows the water from the falls onto you. This is one of the highest waterfalls in Canada, dropping hundreds of meters from the cliffs above. The water comes from the glaciers and ice fields high in the mountains, eventually making its way down into the Yoho Valley. I love that so much of the landscape is connected by water. The snow and glaciers in the mountains become waterfalls, rivers, and lakes, and eventually that water continues far beyond the park. Standing underneath it, surrounded by these mountains and listening to the water echo through the valley is incredible. This is definitely one of those stops that look impressive in photos and feel completely different when I'm actually standing here. All right, so we just got done seeing Takakkaw Waterfall and also Moraine Lake. Such a beautiful nature-filled day. We did make relationship with the waterfall, with the lake, with the mountains, with the trees. It was a very fulfilling day. Now we need to figure out where we're camping tonight. Okay, so we could go back to that same spot as last night. Beautiful spot. However, we're not really moving forward. Or we could press on to Jasper National Park. There's a couple of spots that looks like they got canceled or somebody just didn't show up. So I'm wondering if I could scoop those up. I did call and they just said, it's kind of first come, first serve. So I don't know. And then in terms of wild camping spots, I didn't see any that were, within an hour of the national park. So that's not really great if I can't get one. So I don't know if it's worth the risk or not. Now I'm heading north on the Icefields Parkway, and the sun is starting to go down over the Canadian Rockies. This is one of those drives where getting to the destination feels just as exciting as wherever I'm driving toward. The Icefields Parkway runs between Lake Louise and Jasper, and almost the entire drive is surrounded by mountains, glaciers, rivers, and these huge valleys. Driving it this close to sunset makes everything even more beautiful. The light is getting softer, the mountains are starting to turn different shades of gold and blue, and every time I come around another corner, there's another view that makes me want to stop. At this point, I also need to figure out where I'm sleeping tonight. One of the adventures of van life is that sometimes I don't know exactly where I'm staying until the end of the day. I start looking for a place to stop, and eventually I find this dispersed camping spot. And apparently, I'm not the only one with this idea. There are already several other van lifers here for the night. So I pull in and find a spot next to everyone else. I actually love finding places like this because there's this unspoken little community among people traveling this way. We're all living in different vans, coming from different places, and having completely different adventures. And for one night, we all end up in the same little spot. So this is my spot for tonight. I'm surrounded by other van life people tucked into the Canadian Rockies, and tomorrow I get to wake up and continue driving the Icefields Parkway toward Jasper National Park. And look at this adorable black bear that I saw on the way. They come right up to the road here. The main sightseeing opportunity on my list for Jasper National Park is Spirit Island. So when I was a child, my parents actually had a photograph of this island in our basement. And I would always ask them, where is this? What is this? And they would just say, oh, I think this is in Canada somewhere. I'm not sure, They just thought it was really beautiful. Anyways, I saw the same island photographed in Banff, and I figured out that island that my parents had the photograph of is in Jasper National Park. So of course I had to come and visit. And I also learned on this tour that my relatives, the Stoney Nakota, thought that this island was very spiritual and that they still to this day will come out here to do ceremonies. And I just found that so interesting because I've always been drawn to this island without realizing that there is a spiritual connection. I saw this campsite on iOverlander and I cannot find it. I'm way back on this gas pipeline service road. And the campsite that I saw, well, it's really tiny. Am I seriously supposed to camp here? What if someone comes out here? Way too scary for me. Okay, let's talk about Banff. Absolutely beautiful, stunning parks everywhere. Lake Louise was gorgeous. Lake Moraine was gorgeous. Just the mountains everywhere were really nice. The town of Banff was really cute, really artsy. Lots of history going on there. I will say that it was extremely crowded though. It was really, really challenging getting around. I'm not someone that wants to go on a tour bus. There were a couple of points where I had to be on a tour bus. Also in Jasper National Park, all I really wanted to see there for sure was Spirit Island. And I did have to go on a tour boat in order to get there. You can kayak, but it's kind of an all-day kind of thing. I didn't really want to kayak that much by myself, and what if it's windy? I don't want to get blown around. And yeah, so it was gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I got tons of amazing photos and such. However, it was just really chaotic, very draining on my energy. It's really hard for me to be around that many people, and everybody's hot and uncomfortable and people are, getting aggressive. And yeah, it was still a great experience. I'm glad that I did that. And I saw, 2 bears on the roads there, and I saw a hawk, and I saw some mountain goats. So I saw plenty of wildlife. And, honestly, some of my highlights were actually the wild camping spots that I found on iOverlander, just kind of on the outskirts of the park. Yeah, it was beautiful. And so now we're just outside of Jasper National Park, and we're about to head to Dawson Creek, which is the start of the Alcan Highway, which will take us to Alaska. So just hit up the rec center, had a great shower, and then I'm going to try to find some spring water and maybe a grocery store, and then we're just going to, hit the road and keep driving.